Hello, I'm Arto Luukkanen and we're having an interview with Tommy Robinson, and this is a former state prison. It goes very well with the territory, and the room itself is a former interrogation room, and we are having a good chat with Tommy Robinson. Very nice to see you here, Tommy.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's good to be in this interrogation room in the basement of a prison.
How do you feel now?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
I feel alright. Drained.
Yeah. Anyway, now the question is, of course, the start. How did the story of Tommy Robinson start from the beginning?
So I formed the English Defence League.
Yes.
I formed that in response to, we had a soldiers' homecoming parade.
Yeah.
But that was the final straw.
Yeah.
I was brought up in Luton town. When I was born in 1982, we had one mosque.
Yeah.
Now, how many mosques are there in Helsinki?
I think one or two. Yeah.
So if you said to the people of Helsinki today, if you said in 35 years, you'll have 35 mosques.
Okay.
Every single restaurant will be halal. Your soldiers will get attacked if they march through the streets. There will be no free speech on these issues. If you told people these things are going to happen, what the people in Helsinki would say, that's never going to happen here. Well, that's what's happened in the town I'm from.
So, when did you become as a champion of this?
So in 2004, I organised my first ever protest when I was 21, and I called it Ban the Luton Taliban, because I started researching and I saw these groups in our town, and I saw after the Beslan massacre, that woke me up a lot. I started reading and learning about Islam, about these groups, and this group, who are now a prescribed terrorist organisation, but they weren't then. They were given free rein. They were recruiting in our town centre. They were openly, I think they said 40 people a month were going out of Luton Airport to training camps. And those 40 people that are coming back, it's like the Stockholm bomber, the man who went to Stockholm, he was radicalised in Luton. The fertiliser bomb plot was Luton. The 7/7 launch pad for the bombs in London was Luton. There was another attack last year, there was two last year, people from Luton. Khalid Massoud, the one who Westminster Bridge attacker, Luton. Radicalised Luton. So Luton.
That's a whole hotbed of all.
Luton was named by the CIA as the central prominence for terrorist attack activity in Europe. Okay. Luton. So growing up, I've seen it and lived with it and know the people. I know the people who are converting to Islam. I've watched how the religion is used as a gang. I've seen some great Muslims growing up, some wonderful people who I've grown up with. But I've also noticed, and the reason I've noticed is because Luton is a town of complete immigrants. White English people are the minority. So growing up, my friends were St. Lucian, Jamaican, Italian, Bulgarian. My mother was Irish. All different cultures, all different immigrants. But everyone gets on fine. And then there was one problem, and that was the Islamic community. And from going to school, we had the Muslim playground and the non-Muslim playground. Not the white and black playground. That's not the divide. The divide was religion. And I always thought it was just Pakistanis. I just thought, they're so different. The gang, the culture, everything.
Now, if you don't mind, we'll go back to your imprisonment in 2018 May. And the reason why you were imprisoned was that you were protesting out loud against the grooming. What is grooming? What does it mean?
Well, it shouldn't be called grooming. Grooming means rape jihad. So by calling it grooming, it sounds like it's something wonderful that you do to a dog or something. You groom a dog. These are young children who have been systematically targeted to be abused, pimped, raped, tortured, with the full knowledge of the state. The state have known this was happening. They actually sacrificed a generation of our daughters at the hands.
Why didn't the police do anything?
Well, the government reports say the fear of being branded racist. So for your people to understand, if you want to ask how powerful is political correctness, that's how powerful it is. Because the fear of being branded racist, that's how big the abuse and the insult of being a racist has become. That men will stand and do nothing as young children, defenceless girls, are targeted and abused because they don't want to. Basically, what we have in the UK is we have one community, the Islamic community, who, since the Bradford riots, since they rioted in 2001 in their thousands, since they burned cities, since those real prominent race riots by the Muslim community, they don't get told no for anything.
Yeah.
Everyone's always. The government are always trying to keep them happy.
Yeah.
So again, even growing up in Luton, we have two-tier policing system. We have one rule for our community and one rule for theirs.
Yeah.
They do what they want. They do not get treated the same as us.
But the question was, the bottom line was that you received 13 months imprisonment because you were showing contempt towards the court.
That's what they said.
And you were imprisoned. And then you were able to escape because there was this appeal trial and you were released. Now, how is this possible in a world, in a country, where the Magna Carta and habeas corpus, the United Kingdom is the place of freedom of speech? How is this possible?
Because we live in a post-free speech era. That's a facade. We don't live with free speech, and in fact, if Brexit gets betrayed, we don't live with democracy. The most terrifying thing from it would be that this can happen in 2018 in Britain. A journalist can be taken off the streets when it's visible he committed no crime. The video was there for everybody to watch. I broke no laws. Yeah? He can be imprisoned in a kangaroo court and 650 MPs will sit silent, and every single mainstream media outlet will actually run articles as to why he should be in prison. That's the terrifying thing. Not the fact that one judge might have made this decision and he might have done, well, in fact, not might have, he done so much wrong. It's the complicity and the corruption within the media. Yeah. That none of them, not one of them, told the truth about what happened in court. And it's all documented. You can go to the court, which as journalists they should have done, and you can get the transcripts, which is what I've done as soon as I can. And they would have proved to the rest, any journalist who looked at it would have known he didn't even get asked to plead guilty. He didn't even get told what he'd done wrong. Yeah. He didn't, none of this. And then they're still hanging over me now because they're saying that they're going to do it again. And even in the sense of that, it's how can not just that happen, but then the complete abuse in my treatment in prison in 2018 in Britain, which no Muslim would ever be held in the conditions I was held in or treated the way I was treated. And that can happen. And people can read and know that's happened and still nothing. Yeah. Now, because of what I talk about. Because of the activity, you've been put in a very nasty situation. For example, you've been banned from Facebook and Instagram. And I've been banned from. I will eventually. Next will be, I think, my bank accounts, and then it will be my phones. Really? That's where we're going. So it started off with Twitter. Then PayPal, and there's no reasons. So when Twitter removed me, they removed me because I put a fact. The fact that I tweeted was that 90% of grooming convictions, rape convictions for gangs in the UK are Muslim men. 90%. Muslim men make up 2% of the British population. Yeah. That they're responsible for 90%. That's what, and I tweeted that along with the fact that 30% of the men convicted are called Mohammed. There is something wrong here. Yeah. And that's what they removed me for. They said that was hate. Would you think that United Kingdom and the rest of the Western Europe would need a kind of a public discussion? Why is this so? You're not allowed the discussion. Why not? Because if you have that discussion, you will find out why. And if you have that discussion, you'll start looking at your immigration policies different and the way and who you want to bring into your country. If we had a public inquiry into the Quran and see if there's a correlation of link between the crimes being committed and the religion. Is this permissible with this religious book? Then people will find out it is. But do you think that we are offering, sacrificing our, Western principles because of this thing? Yeah, we're giving them away. They've gone already. It's not like will we. We have and we are. We have strict laws in the UK which prohibit incitement to violence and prohibit racism. Yeah. I've never been arrested under any of those laws. Yeah. Ever. Never. Okay? Because I've never broke the law with what I say, because what I say is not incitement. I'm not asking people to be violent. I'm not targeting all Muslims per se. I'm not But then, so hate, which is the new word that they use to silence everyone with now, it used to be racist. So the way they keep everyone quiet for the last 20, 30 years is racist. Everyone's scared of being called racist. The new word, because they've absolutely destroyed the meaning of the word racist now, it's such an insult to the true victims of racism, the way it's used. And Nazi. The new word is now hate. So essentially, PayPal don't want my hate. They can't give me any example of my hate.
And you can't defend yourself.
No, that's it.
You're enemy of the people and enemy of the state.
Yeah, so that PayPal was gone. That affected me by 70%. So every time I make plans, so I have to change my plans. Like again now.
Yeah.
All the plans I made plans with Lauren Southern. You know Lauren Southern? We were going to work together and we were going to build a TV studio in Britain.
Now, you have a lot of followers, very ardent followers, very enthusiastic. I saw the film where they treated you, when they welcomed you. You know the song, How They Rule Ya.
Oh, yeah,
How did you feel then when they were singing you?
That was beautiful.
It was like, football match or whatever, the people were sincere.
It was, yeah. When I was in prison, and I used to receive probably this many letters every day.
Yeah.
From all over the world. And that was, for me, it's a satisfying, and it's also, look, 10 years ago when I started talking about Islam, it was difficult. With attacks, with violence, and with the way the state managed to convince people who we were and what we were saying was wrong. Now that's all changed, full 360. So when I go places now, I don't get a negative reception anywhere. Okay. So even, for example, they keep trying to portray me as a racist. I went out to a rave, like a music thing, in London, probably 2 months ago. And I don't know, do you have Rice Krispies and Cocoa Pops, no? The cereals? So I was like a Rice Krispie in a bowl of Cocoa Pops, yeah? I was the only white person in this whole club, yeah?
How did they treat you?
Great.
Yeah.
They love me.
Yeah.
So they're not buying the lies. They're not buying the media.
Tommy, would you like to start a political party, or would you like to be a political leader then?
So essentially, as I say, my decisions and the way of thinking changes every time they throw a hurdle. Removing me from social media makes it more difficult because I see my role as making videos, showing people what's happening on the streets and being on the street. But now, essentially, I'll have a lot of time to think now, because I think if I want to rustle there, feathers a bit more, then getting voted into politics would be a way of doing that. And I'd also be a lot safer, I think.
Yeah. How about joining some political party, for example?
I support Joe Batten as a leader of UKIP. I never supported UKIP when Nigel Farage led it. I'll be honest as to why. My whole town is immigrants.
Yeah.
Everyone I love are immigrants. Yeah. So when I saw Nigel Farage seemed to be blaming all the other immigrants because of the problems that come from the Islamic community. That's how I used to look at it, like that, because I think, like, we don't have to, when the British public, or the working class British public, voted for Brexit, we didn't vote because we have a problem with Finnish people coming to our country, or Spanish people, or German people. It's the forced migration of Islamic.
Yeah.
If you look at the towns that voted to leave, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, all the areas with massive Islamic communities, we know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
We've seen the threat to our culture and our actual identity as a country. So I see politics, essentially, we can make as much noise as we want out on the street. They'll only start listening when
now,
yourself.
Would you, Tommy, imagine yourself being a member of Parliament, for example, having a speech at the British Parliament?
That's the only thing that makes me, because I hate politicians.
But how about being a one?
Well, no, I just thought, oh mate, give me 10 minutes on that platform.
Okay.
Give me 10 minutes on that platform and I'll drill home what every single person sitting at home who is fed up of this establishment thinks of you.
How about the speaker would then call you?
Order.
Yeah. Now, the question is then...
I don't know if you saw what the speaker said recently.
Okay.
I'm an obnoxious, repellent, loathsome individual.
Really?
That's what he called me.
Wow.
So it was when I saw him say that, because I was invited to the House of Lords, then I sat there and thought, you know what? I'm going to sit in there one day amongst you.
Okay.
I'm going to see how you like that.
Now, Tommy, let's go now to Finland. Now, the question here in this country, people say that, okay, you are overreacting, you know, that there are no real problems in Finland. And, you know, actually, when 2015 there was this wave of migrants and there were some problems, they said that, you know, these young men are just, you know, worrying their mummies and they are, you know, a little bit violent because they are missing, you know, their families. What would you say?
I'd say that you have an opportunity to stop it happening. You do not want to end up, you don't want Helsinki to become like Luton. No. You don't want your daughters to have to be scared of where they're walking and what they're wearing and having to cover up. You don't want the mass rapes or the industrial scale rapes of your daughters, as I believe we've seen in Oulu. Is it Oulu? Oulu? In the city of Oulu.
Yeah.
Signs that it's happening here already. And also, the biggest warning would be, from myself, is just like that. You just look around and think, oh my God, this has changed. But I look at estates in Luton, where I grew up, and all of a sudden I just stand there and when did this happen? But as I look and the whole place is burgers, I think, that's happened so quick. 5-7 years. And then what we see is being given countries, and we see that, say for example, in Britain, the average birth rate for the Islamic community is 5.6 children. For us, it's 1.3.
Yeah.
Now, like that, your whole town will change.
Now, then your opponents, you have lots of opponents. They, as they said, they hate you. There's a hate campaigns, and they said that you conduct a hate speech campaign, and that you are representative of far-right ideology. What would you say for them?
I'll say that these lines, the more the paper, whenever the media take, so what we have these far-left groups who are funded, massive funding. They produce reports where they label us and slander us and lie about us. Then the media, working with them, spread the reports and spread the headlines all over the country. Yeah? All lies. And it's like there's no... So whenever they do this, the media now have to turn off their comments on every single thing, because the public, which is why social media has been so good to get us where we are, the public, the monopoly the media had of telling people what to think about people, they didn't realise with social media people can listen to us ourselves. So I always say to people, listen to what I say, don't listen to what the media say I say. So when these groups say about hate, as I said, we have strong laws against hate. I've never been arrested and I've been tried for anything like that. And I would be, if they could, like that. So there's no hate here. And I'd say, and even when they say you do it out of hate, we do it out of love. And that's a love for our country, our culture, for my kids. I want my children to have a safe and prosperous future, the same way that previous generations gave to us. And right now, what we've bred, I don't know about in Finland, but we've bred a generation of cowards, a generation of weak men who are too afraid to speak, even just to speak, and then your ability to speak now, like we see with the deletion from social media, this topic cannot be spoken about.
Okay. Now, two last questions, Tommy, if you don't mind. The first one is that, would you like to conduct a dialogue with your opponents? Would you like to?
Yeah.
What would you say for them?
Yeah, I have dialogue. You know, over the years since day one, I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah.
So I've always said I'll meet anyone and talk to anyone. And in fact, I've had imams come down and meet me from the north of England, and I meet them. And do you know what? I walk away and say he's a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Because he probably, many of them are. But what their ideology that they follow, if it was implemented in our land, then it's taken us backwards. So I always separate the follower from the belief. Muslims are people, Islam is an idea, and that idea needs criticism and deserves criticism. So, which we have to be free to do. Muslims are people. It's like I watched this gentleman on this documentary that you watched yesterday. He seems like a lovely lad. You know? He seems like a nice guy. But he still thinks you should be killed if you leave Islam.
Really?
He still, so these are the questions. These are the questions that you see. These are the questions that need asking to people. You can think, yeah, he's sound, and then you realise once you ask the questions that you need to ask them.
Yeah.
Like I've done it with my imam, my local imam in Luton. He's got 14 children with 3 wives. My local imam was on the radio show like this, and the radio host should be the man asking him these questions.
Yeah.
And I walked in and said, "Can I just ask you a couple of questions?" Like he's part of. We have a policy in the town called Luton in Harmony, and he was a main key player in bringing harmony to Luton. I said, in your ideal society, the ideal society that you want, yeah, if all of the conditions were met, what would the punishment be for homosexuality? If your ideal society.
Okay, and then he
you kill him. Yeah. So then I said, hold on a minute, because you're in charge of Luton in Harmony. Yeah. Well, we have a gay community in Luton. Yeah. You kill him. And I know you'd kill him.
The last question then goes with your ideal society. What would be your ideal society? Tell me, if you could have all the power,
My ideal society, so most people, what they think it would be is very different to what it would be. Because you see, I haven't grown up in a white English town. Yeah. I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
So my fight originally was more against a community who have been treated differently than us. For everyone to be treated the same, which they're not. And then for a Sharia-free, and I look at my children and I look at our previous generations and think about what they sacrificed. And they were some of them were 14 years old, pretending they were 16, to run and fight. And they run and fought and died to hand down freedom, to hand down safety, to give us a safe and prosperous future. None of us can sit and look at Europe now. None of us. You ask anyone, is it going in the right direction? Terrorism goes up 60% every year in Britain, 60%. We currently have 22,000 Muslims on a terror watch list. None of us are doing our part, none of us.
Okay, now, we are now in a formal interrogation room, if I believe it right, blood has been spilled here. But then I ask you, how important are these two things, like compassion and love? What do they mean for you?
What do they mean for me? Everything I do is out of compassion and love. So that's what I said, when they talk about hate, it's not about hate, but I love I love my children, I love my community, I love my country. I love it, and I want what's best for it.
Do you love your enemies also?
Do I love my enemies? Yeah, do you know what? I think many Muslims are naive to the agenda of Islam. Many Muslims are cultural Muslims only. They're born with a Muslim name. But yet they're still told to defend this ideology and this prophet. Then they have to defend it. And when you actually sit and have the discussion with your average young Muslim, they don't know anything about it. I sit and say, but Muhammad done this, and to them they're, what? I said, oh mate, you need to read the life of your prophet. Yeah. You need to understand who he was and the crimes he committed.
And they don't know.
No, they don't know. Most of them don't. And then obviously the imams like it that way, they're just told. But yet they're still, because of the certain things within the religion that form the brotherhood for them, that you mess with one, you might as well pick to fight with the whole clan.
Yeah.
It's that, and then the blasphemy doesn't allow them to have freedom. It doesn't allow them to say, like they might sit, I speak to Muslims, I don't believe any of it. But if I said that, I'll be ostracised, even by my mum and dad. So that blasphemy law that's embedded within Islam is the only thing that's kept Islam going all these years. If people were free to leave Islam, bloody, they'd all be leaving. And when we talk about immigration, I always say I'm against the Islamic immigration, but one thing I would be for is opening up a British embassy in Saudi Arabia and telling all the women to leave. Because I think they'd leave tomorrow. And you'll have loads of men standing scratching their heads thinking, and why are we left here on our own? So give them freedom. I want freedom, but I want it for Muslims too.
Tommy, thank you for excellent interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers.